Gauteng province. In fact, I'm glad I could call it Gauteng because when we started planning for this event, I call it Gauteng. And so I was told it was Gauteng. So I hope that is even much better. Honorable ministers, representing presidents all across the continent, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be very, very brief. My role is basically to thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to be with us tonight. You have the world here, investors, ministers, you have project promoters. Everybody's here in South Africa to do only one thing, which is at the Africa Investment Forum, talk transactions and close deals. And that's why we are here. And I know that this is really very special for us to have you with us tonight and to offer us this gala night, Your Excellency, Mr. President. We are most grateful for your generosity. We're very grateful for the support of your government. We thank you very much for the hospitality of the Premier of Gauteng and all of his staff. We have 5 priorities at the African Development Bank, but I'm not talking about the African Development Bank alone tonight. I actually stand up to talk on behalf of all of us, just to thank you very, very much. All the partners, all the sponsors, so thank you very much. One of the high fives of the bank, we say we want to light up and empower Africa, to feed Africa, to integrate Africa, industrialize Africa, and improve the quality of life of the people of Africa. We call them high fives at the African Development Bank. Your Excellency, Mr. President, I think tonight the most important part of those high five is to feed Africa. And thank you for feeding us. My role is just to thank you because that's the biggest transaction and the deal tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and God bless.
Thank you very much to Dr. Adesina, and we do feel that vibe of people doing deals. There's an electricity when people are putting money forward for real projects. We talk about this infrastructure gap on the continent, but there are people doing real things and putting money where their mouths are. And let's follow the money and follow the projects.
And it is always very important to see Africans do it themselves first, showing confidence in our own continent before we ask other people to come and invest. So what is going on here is really remarkable. That's exactly what Africa needs at this time.
Well, we know our president has given out a call to South Africans saying, you know, why don't you put up your hand and say, Tuma mina, send me, right? And a lot of South Africans have taken up that call, and I suspect the president is probably going to send out the same call this evening to our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Indeed, he has set a target for how much needs to be invested here in South Africa. He's employed the services of envoys who are going all over the world, trying to get this money back here in South Africa. And ladies and gentlemen, clearly, he is the happy host, given the fact that this is not just a talk shop. This is where deals are done. I'd like now for you to stand up as we welcome onto the stage the President of the Republic of South Africa, the Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, ladies and gentlemen.
Program directors, the Premier of our province here, the President of the African Development Bank, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government who have come to grace this occasion, ministers and deputy ministers from all the various countries on our continent, heads of various finance institutions, business leaders, government officials, ladies and gentlemen. It is my singular honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to South Africa, particularly to this inaugural Africa Investment Forum. As South Africa, we are honored and feel rather privileged that we were able to win the favor of the African Development Bank and have this conference held here. In this room tonight, I feel a vibe that's underpinned by deals. I can smell money. I can touch the sense of what money and billions of dollars is all about. And in this room tonight, I have a good sense of an Africa that is rising, an Africa that is moving forward. Let's give our continent a round of applause. This forum, with its strategic focus on leveraging public-private partnerships to drive investment on the continent, gives us great cause for optimism. But the optimism is also based on the importance that the heads of state and the heads of government who are here ascribe to this very important forum. Among the key aspirations of the African Union's Agenda 2063 is that of a prosperous and integrated continent based on inclusive growth as well as sustainable development. African integration speaks to the free movement of people, to the deepening of intra-Africa trade, and to cooperation across borders on infrastructure development. Importantly, it speaks to strengthening the capacity of continental financial institutions such as the African Development Bank and others to power Africa's growth. African integration is key to attracting investment and growing our respective economies. It is an imperative if we are to fully harness the potential not only of our continent, broad as it is, but of its citizens. In July this year, South Africa joined 44 other countries in signing the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. This agreement will pave the way for greater interregional trade on our continent. It will open the pathway for increased investment and faster industrialization. This forum, therefore, comes at a critical and timely juncture in the life of our continent. Earlier this year, the World Bank forecast that 6 out of the 10 fastest growing economies for 2018 would be in Africa. With a youthful as well as a tech-savvy population, vast resources as well, and diverse investment opportunities across a range of sectors such as agriculture, mining, telecoms, and energy, Africa is ideally positioned to drive global growth. And this is precisely what the World Bank has noticed. The pace with which new technologies have been embraced by the young people of this continent suggests that Africa has the potential to effectively seize the opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution. Numerous studies have shown that developing countries, many of which are in Africa, are suited for so-called leapfrog development. We have seen, for example, the spectacular growth of mobile banking technology in a number of African countries, wholly bypassing traditional banking systems that have been inaccessible to many people on our continent, and particularly people in the rural communities of Africa. In other instances, renewable energy investment has seen some African communities bypass conventional energy grids. By harnessing the potential of technology and by mobilizing investment from the private sector, African societies can be at the forefront of innovation, but more importantly, of progress. To do this, we must confront some of the perceptions that exist about investing in African countries. There are concerns that barriers to entry are high. There are also concerns that regulatory red tape is overly burdensome, and governance challenges make investing in African economies extremely risky. It should not be difficult to do business in Africa, and yet, as investors often tell us, it has been. If we are to unlock capital flows into the continent, we have to develop sound policy and regulatory environments. We also have to strengthen our financial institutions, improve governance, and deal decisively with the scourge of corruption that continues to dog our beautiful continent. Providing policy certainty and consistency is critical if we are to realize the levels of the investment that our continent seeks, but also the investments that our continent deserves. This is why the African Development Bank should be commended for convening this forum, this inaugural forum, as a platform of engagement between African governments, the private sector, and continental and international financial institutions. Tomorrow you'll be hearing from leaders from across the continent about the concrete actions we are undertaking in our respective African countries to create a much more business-friendly environment that catalyzes investment. But the African Investment Forum is about much more than just discussing ways to unlock obstacles to further investment. We are bringing tangible, real projects to the table. And we should be able to characterize this forum as not a talk shop. This is a forum to make deals, and deals are already being made right here in this forum. And I can look at a number of tables. I can see people who are saying, when is he going to stop talking? Because we want to finalize our deals. I can already see people at various tables saying that. Africa will not be able to raise the 130 billion or more that it needs each year to meet its infrastructure requirements without massive private sector investment in the continent's development. It is only the people of Africa who stand to benefit. Governments and the private sector should form relationships of mutual benefit because Africa holds significant and untapped potential for many investors. For investors looking to diversify their portfolios, Africa is a continent where opportunities are immense and the returns on investment are significant as well. Whether it is investing in climate-smart agriculture, in an automotive manufacturing plant, or in tech startups somewhere else on our continent, we will be using this platform to showcase opportunities that exist. We will be using it to highlight what we are doing as a continent to remove the bottlenecks that stand in the way of greater investment and also to try and improve the investment opportunities in our various countries. We hope that the deliberations that will take place here will be robust, they'll be spirited, and above all, there'll be deliberations that are results-oriented. I'd like, therefore, to welcome you once again to our country and to encourage you to take advantage of your time here to see as much of our beautiful country as you can. We are justifiably proud that we continue to attract high numbers of tourists to our shores, and we trust that for those visiting South Africa for the first time, that it will also not be your last time. This year, South Africa marks the centenary of the birth of the founder of our nation, Nelson Mandela. But we also mark the centenary of one of the great women leaders in our struggle against apartheid, Albertina Sisulu. Nelson Mandela was a legendary statesman, an exemplary leader, and an ardent Pan-Africanist, as Albertina Sisulu was as well. Mandela never tired of emphasizing the links between the struggles and the fortunes of South Africa and those of the rest of the continent. And he always advocated for a more integrated continent. In presenting the Africa Peace Award to the nation of Mozambique in 1997, President Mandela said, "The time for Africa's renewal, for our continent to occupy the pedestal of the successful, has come to pass. Africa yearns and deserves to redeem her glory, to reassert her centuries-old contribution to economics, to politics, to culture, and to the arts, and once more to be a pioneer in the many fields of human endeavor." Close quotes. The convening of the Africa Investment Forum is but one of the many means by which we as African leaders seek to develop our continent, improve the conditions of her people, and enhance her prosperity as well. In this, we know we can count on the domestic and international business and investor community to work with us side by side as we seek to find better ways of enabling Africa to prosper. A strong, prosperous Africa, driven by the energies of its citizens, is in the interest and the reach of all of us. And it is in this regard that I ask you to participate in this forum with a great deal of zest, a great deal of focus to enable us to mobilize all those resources that are required to move our Africa forward. I thank you and most welcome to South Africa, and enjoy your evening. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, another big round of applause for the President of the Republic of South Africa. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. The President is once again sharing with me just how excited he is with some of the comments that already have been made about this premier forum, investment forum here in Africa. But Mr. President, I am certainly not going to stand in the way of deals being done. The President says, people are saying, when is he going to stop talking? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to serve you dinner so that people can start networking, putting the final touches on those deals. But also, we will be celebrating dinner through an amazing South African artist, Brenda Mtambo, who will be serenading us as we enjoy dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your dinner.